In this video, I will show you how I made this dried leaf from wafer paper. You will need a dark brown color paste and a caramel color paste. I have used vodka as my conditioning liquid, and I'm mixing in a dark brown and the caramel color in the two wells, like so. So once you've mixed in the color, do a swatch so that you know roughly what it looks like. And this is the caramel color. Prepare a few rectangles of wafer paper. Then you can cut out a leaf shape of your preference. I'm just going to do freehand like so. You can pretty much do any kind of leaf. We'll start with the stem. You can just wrap a piece of wire with brown tape, but I'm going to wrap it with wafer paper to give it a little bit of thickness. Apply a little bit of edible glue all over the piece of thin strip of wafer paper, and then wrap it around the piece of wire, like so. I'm leaving a little bit of wire unwrapped because that's the part that will go into our leaf. So just wrap it around like so. Make sure it's secure. Then you can roll it with your palm. I'm just fixing the shape with my fingers before we move on. That part there is where we will insert into the wafer paper. So now I'm going to color the stem into a dark brown color like so, using the conditioning liquid that I prepared beforehand, just all over. And now the stem is done, just leave it aside to dry. Now we will go ahead and make the leaf. The leaf that I cut out before was a little bit wide for me. I want it to be a bit skinnier, so I'm just going to trim some off like so. You can pretty much do whatever leaf shape that you like. And then with a flat brush, I'm removing the excess liquid on my brush before brushing onto the wafer paper like so. I usually only brush each section once so that I don't oversaturate the wafer paper with too much liquid. Once I've brushed everything both sides with the liquid, I will transfer it into my leaf veiner. You can use any veiner that you have. And then I will press down firmly to give the wafer paper leaf its veins. And this is what the leaf looks like with the veins. Now I'm gonna, while it's still slightly pliable, the wafer paper, I'm going to shape it a little bit to give it a little bit of movement so that it's not so flat, like so, a little bit of curve at the top and some small curves on the side. And with a pair of curved tip scissors, I'm cutting a really small cut on one of the edges like so. And then with the curved tip scissors curving outwards, I'm creating some more uneven cuts on the edges so that it's not so flat. And now I'm giving it a final pinch before I move on to the next step. Taking the stem that we prepared beforehand, using a small brush, apply a little bit of edible glue on the end of the wire that's not covered by wafer paper. Remove the excess glue before sticking it onto the leaf. So like so. Pinching the base of the leaf where it meets the wire to secure it and to hide the wire. If you cannot hide your wire completely, that's fine. We'll be dusting later on to cover it up. So once it's secure, I press down the sides of the leaf so it's more open, and we are done attaching. Then with a sharp tool, I'm creating some holes in the leaf. Just a few will do. Here I have brown petal dust, napkin brown and black. Using a soft fluffy brush, I'm starting with brown first and dusting it all over the leaf, front and back. You can of course adjust your conditioning liquid to be a bit darker so that you can dust less. This is just an example that I'm showing you. Now I will color the stem with the same brown. This is just in case I missed any spots when I was coloring it with the conditioning liquid before. Now with a flat brush, I'm using napkin brown. And then I'm just focusing on the side veins here like so, just to give the leaf a little bit more dimension and not so flat in terms of the coloring. And finally, I'm using a little of black to dust the central vein right here of the leaf to give it a little bit more depth. Using a fine brush, I'm dipping it into the caramel color from before that we adjusted in the conditioning liquid, and I'm focusing it in the holes that we created just before to give it a little bit more dimension. Last but not least, you can bend your stem so that it is not so rigid, not so straight, to have whatever direction you want it to be, and cut off the excess and you're done. Here is the final leaf that we have made from wafer paper, the dried leaf. And you can pretty much use whatever shape you like.